Right, so we're back in. As you can see, this is the same model. So I've got two sets of these killer cans that I'm painting up for Sundon Models. You can see that they've got that little mouth there. Now that mouth is really, really cool. It's really good. I do love these models. They're getting quite old now, but they look really, really good. And what you can see I've done there and on the other designs is I've stippled on Mephiston red. Now, stippling, something I've come back to, having not done it for a while. It works well with orcs because you get, if you're working directly from a base paint, you can work up a little bit of texture. Okay, and what I like, my sort of mindset with the orcs is that they're very slapdash. It's a bit like, you know, the GIs in World War II, and they're throwing things together and then give them a quick spray with whatever they have, you know, or you know, painting them up as roughly as they can, and it kind of adds to that element. So I'm stippling on now. You know, it's quite if you look at the side of the model, you can see it's not actually that raised. So I'm going to use a cut down old brush. I think this was a Humbrol brush, although that's all wiped off. And just cut that down so it's quite stiff, got a bit of give, but you know, it's not too large, so it should be controllable, but it'll give that texture as well. Okay, so I'm going to try that on here. A little bit nerve-wracking because I don't want to get overspill if I possibly can help it. So I've got my Mephiston just there. It's an old pot of Mephiston, starting to get a little bit thick. And then just build up my palette, so I've got some control. And then we'll stipple that on. Now this might take a minute or two, but what it will be is a damn sight quicker than very, very carefully painting on. And honestly, if I go over a little bit, I'm not going to cry because it's the orcs, and you know, they wouldn't give a monkeys. They'd be spraying it on. If it goes over the side, what's the worst case scenario? It's just the way the orcs behave. Now I will be sort of following a bit of a sort of standard Blood Angels approach when it comes to highlighting. So I had considered whether I'd just go over and sort of stipple with, you know, those more orangey reds, or whether we edge highlight. And I think because, you know, I've got this idea of making them look a little bit Deadpool. Now the Deadpool colours are very, very strong post letterbox red, black and white, so I will probably keep the highlighting fairly controlled and probably just on the edges, just to give it that sense of there being some light there, but without it, you know, starting to read orange as opposed to red. So we can see that is already looking pretty good. In fact, a bit heavy duty there. Let's get rid of some of that. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Pretty happy with that. It's a nice strong red, but because I'm being more careful up the top of those teeth, again, you can actually see that there's a certain degree of fade there and a patchiness if it has just been sort of sprayed in the field. So that's good. We'll leave that to dry for a little bit and go back over some of these other boys. Same kind of idea. Now, could easily move to a larger dry brush with this, but I'm just going to be a little bit more slapdash. One of the nice things about stippling in this way on what are fairly well textured models, because they've been undercoated with a black spray, is that anything you don't quite reach, which is generally the recesses, then has that built-in shade, which works really well, and that'll save a little bit of time later on in the process as well. So once I've done this, I'm going to have a look at the shoulder pads and make some decisions about what I do red and what stays black. I've given them all a dry brush already in the same process that you saw with the cans. So there's that. So it will look homogeneous. It will look like it's all part of the same model. And I'm just going to decide where I put the reds on there. And then we'll start moving to some metallics. So see you all soon.